Hi, this is Ben from 561 Music Podcast. Right now, we're trying to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It just helps us get out there more. It also enables us to monetize the podcast, to make it better, do more advertising for it and things like that. Subscribe to the podcast and hit the notifications button. That would be doing us a really big favor. Thank you very much.
Check it out, it's what we're all about. 561 Music!
Welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben.
And I'm back. And I'm Hector.
Yes, you are. And it's so nice to have you back.
Man, I feel like I've been sick for like a year. But
I feel like you've been sick for a year. So
it's been a month, and I'm still technically a little bit, but
it changed my entire life. For about a year and a half there, I was speaking to you about 40,000 times a day, and then all of a sudden you disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I tend to do that when I'm sick. I'm a big baby, man. I just go to sleep, get under the covers, and that's it. That's all you see. You don't see me anymore. I'm gone.
No, I mean, I can relate.
Spring out for the gigs, and then that's it.
I think everyone's been had a bit of a rough time the last couple. I guess because we were all kind of hermetically sealed over the last 2 years, and now everyone's getting back together. We're all making each other ill again.
Well, I think it was a combination of that, and then the 3 days of winter that we had this year. So it's I just don't do well in cold weather, man.
Talking about winter as well, so James brought an actual electric heater to our gig on Sunday.
Right, and it was actually really funny because it was an electric heater, but it looked like a fireplace with the flames and everything, like the electric digital flames, floating and stuff. So from a distance, it looked like he had brought like his fireplace with him.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Yeah. And that was the coldest gig ever. Like, I mean, I know that we shouldn't complain about weather when we live in Florida, but it was pretty chilly.
It was very chilly, and the funny thing was, I made fun of James when I picked him up, taking him to the gig. I made fun of him for putting that heater in the car. I was like, come on, man. Are you really bringing a heater? And then about end of the second set, I was like standing over by the heater trying to warm up my hands. I'm like, this really sucks. I wish I would have brought a heater.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a certain point of cold where you can't feel your fingers, which is a big problem if you use them to play music.
It's a huge problem if you're slapping a stand-up bass because you don't know how hard you're slapping. So I can promise you that the next morning I woke up and my hand was swollen like a baseball glove, and it did not feel good.
Oh, no.
I must have been beating the hell out of that bass and just didn't realize. Like, all my fingers were like a little bit swollen and they all just sore. And
oh, mate.
Yeah, it sucked.
Well, I have to say it's very nice to have you back.
Oh, man, good to be back.
As much as I can sort of tenuously hold the line here when you're not here, it just isn't the same. So
I appreciate it, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah, man. So we have the Bucc Stops Here. We have Andy and Matt and Brian from the Bucc Stops Here. How's it going, guys?
What's going on?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
561.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and been really enjoying listening to your music. And I think it's going to be really fun just getting to know you and finding a little bit more about your motivations behind why you do what you do.
Sure.
When did the band get together originally?
Well, I think once we got Brian in the mix, Matt and I were hanging out and playing music for 7 years before. We were living in Atlanta at that time and moved back down to South Florida, and then met up with Brian around July 2021, I think. Mm-hmm. And then we had our first gig in about September, October that month, that year, and then it's game on.
Excellent.
So it's been about 2.5 years, 1.5 years.
So you brought up Atlanta. I'm curious to know a little bit about where you were born and brought up, and what the musical environment was like when you were growing up. Like, where are you from originally?
I'm from Long Island, New York, actually, originally.
So my wife.
Yeah? And so is Ricky, by the way.
Yeah.
And then I went to college up in Rhode Island at Providence College, and then after that I moved down here. So that was 2010, and I was down here till about 2015, and then I moved up to Atlanta for 3 years, moved back down here. Atlanta was cool, but I'm a South Florida guy, really.
Yeah, I get
it,
man.
Foremost.
Yeah, I think if there's a certain type of person that just does well down here. I like to think I'm one of those types of people. I like it down here.
What'd you think of the music scene in Atlanta versus Florida?
The music scene in Atlanta is amazing.
It's crazy, isn't it?
You can actually, as a a band that kind of has just get going, you can be in some really good venues, big venues that been there for a long time. You can, if you're in, like, I was actually playing drums at the time in a reggae rock band up there, and all of a sudden we're able to open for all these, bands in these good venues.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing, good venues. That, the people go to that venue to see music.
Yeah.
Down here, it's a little more spread out, I say.
Some really great musicians too around there.
Yeah, I
Make some
believe
good
it.
connections. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. So when you were, Andy, when you were young, what was the, when did you start playing music? How did that all happen?
Yeah. So I've always been, drums are my first instrument, so I started picking them up when I was like 5 or 6, and it just went through the whole jazz school thing, and then I went, in college I played jazz drums, and I double majored in drum.
So you did
performance
jazz at college?
Yes.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
brilliant.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah. And then always was playing guitar alongside just to switch it up, and then was always loving drums, but I liked writing music, and so I feel like I can better. I really just, at the end of the day, you can do 2 things: guitar and sing.
Yeah.
And so I just was better expressing myself that way.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Were your parents supportive when you were growing up, music-wise?
They were. I had my drum set up in the attic that was unfinished. It was 28 degrees. I had my parka on and my scarf and everything. And the neighbors were getting a good concert whether they wanted to or not.
I know all about that.
Some calls, some knocks on the door. They loved it. They were really supportive. I could not say anything better.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really great.
They also always pushed me towards like a career too, as other, as good parents do.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
So I did go and get a math degree, so I got that, and then, but I love music, and that's what we do.
My son's a drummer, and we came here, as a matter of fact. He had been coming here since he was like 10. He's 19 now, and he got out of high school, no plans to go to college, wanted to be a drummer, and I was like, well, I mean, you can make a career out of it, of course. I'm like, but you really should have a backup plan.
Right, yeah.
Just in case.
And then there's that whole debate of which, I think, wasn't it him who said it? Where,
Yeah, he came back to me and said, Dad, if I have a backup plan, I've already admitted failure.
Yeah. And,
And I'm like, I hate you, and that was very wise for a young kid to say.
You love and hate them at that moment.
Oh man, I loved him for being so wise, but I hated that he had something intelligent to say.
yeah, just bam. Just got
Yeah, just got me.
Slipped it right in there.
Yeah.
So, Matt, what was your sort of musical upbringing like?
Yeah, I started out playing piano actually as a kid. About 5 or 6 years old, took piano lessons, and then as I got into like middle school and high school, started playing trombone, and then as I got older in high school, I was playing trombone and marching band and all that stuff, and I was riding in the car with my dad, and he said, "You need to learn guitar." And I was like, well, yeah, I'd like to learn guitar. He's like, no, you have to learn guitar. You're not going to pick up any girls playing trombone. So I was like,
Wise words.
I was like, all right, Dad, you're right. So that kind of inspired me to pick up guitar. And then, just kind of from there, been playing in different bands and stuff. High school.
Chicks flooded in, right?
They're all over the place.
And then he switched the bass, and chicks flooded
and then I
back out.
switched to bass, and then, and then now it's like, what the? So, but yeah, it's, I play multiple instruments. It's been, I play harmonica, play obviously bass guitar, piano, ukulele.
Nice.
Nice.
A little bit of everything. So
Yeah, man, that's me too. A jack of all trades kind of approach.
yeah.
Yeah.
Before you
hit
know,
'em
you'll
up
be
for everyone.
ordering a hurdy-gurdy.
I know. Yeah, hurdy-gurdy. That looks interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just, in case anyone who's listening to this doesn't already know, because I've been going on about it ad infinitum to anyone who listen, I just got a hurdy-gurdy. It's very exciting. And I'm learning how to play it. And I have this amazing teacher called Steve Tyler, who's not the Steven Tyler, but he is the
It's kind of a
Steve
bummer.
Tyler.
That would be awesome.
He's a really, really great teacher, and I'm just so stoked about the whole thing. But anyway, I digress. So what kind of music were your parents listening to when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, a lot of like classic rock and stuff. I remember just riding around with my dad in the car, and he would be, listening to like, Skinner and Zeppelin and Stones and that kind of stuff. And so that kind of just got me really into rock music and things like that. And, over time, my taste has kind of evolved into, a lot of different things, but that was really kind of like the basis of everything. And I always kind of go back to that. I've always been a big rock fan. So
Yeah, I think that just the generation that we are, all the parents were baby boomers and listened to rock music, so it's just what we were all fed,
Yeah.
Except mine, man. Mine didn't listen to any of that stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, my mom listened to like mostly Spanish music, and my dad listened. Whenever you got in the car with my dad, it was always like a Spanish news radio station. It was like, yeah, it was just like, I don't know how to describe it. It was like that the AM news radio, but in Spanish. Right. So yeah, so that was it. That was. No. It was.
Well, at least it was good for your Spanish.
Yeah, there was no rock music in our house.
Well, yeah, okay. So minus Hector,
Minus me.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
That definitely solidified my love for music. Was all those listening to my mum's records and having a talk about all the different. It was a big deal for me for sure. Brian, how did you wind up playing music?
I was talking to Hector earlier before we started. Public school music program. Really, I'm a product of that. And
Great.
the programs were they were really. What's that?
We all are.
Yeah, they were really. The programs were really strong when I came up through grade school with teachers, and you could sign up for after school. I got free lessons. I learned to read music, drum music. So I actually started in grade school and just progressed through. And the elementary school concert bands were fun and probably sounded horrible. We always thought we were great. And the junior high school, then started marching band and stage band, a concert band, and then I had some a running chorus because I thought it'd be a cool place to meet girls. It didn't work out in the chorus class. It was cool. I get to do a lot of everything. So marching band, stage band, and we had a nationally ranked high school band, so we had to travel a bunch. Had a competition concert band and stuff. So it was really cool.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
It's really fun.
Yeah, on the drums too, which I always feel like in the concert band, it's like the coolest thing, because you can pretty much play like cool beats. You're not like stuck quite as rigidly to the whatever the stupid song you got to play is.
Right. I was like the self-proclaimed. I always liked the phrase incidental percussion, because like they always had the guys who were ahead of you in years, always with the lead snare and second snare and tenor and bass drum. So I'm the guy that would like find the bin of all the cool percussion stuff and just.
Oh, cool.
Find a way to sneak it in without getting yelled at. Try to be with the tasty accents of stuff, and
That's where you got it from.
Yeah. And it kind of having to do that in high school with the bands. I did a lot of hand percussion, but I didn't realize that it really was a foundation for me. And when recently, in the past 7-8 years, when I got back into drumming, that I just really. I do a lot of hand percussion too, congas and djembe and
Nice
stuff. So I would say that's what I've done more.
So have you been playing in bands for a long time, or is this you'd come back to it?
That's a good question. So I came up through school, I graduated high school, I did some college in Pittsburgh, and I moved to Florida because I got married young, and I had a 25-year hiatus of zero music.
Right.
25 years, and then. A friend of a friend called me one day and said, "Hey, you play drums, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I've got a buddy that's moving out of a storage unit, and he's got a drum set. He doesn't want to throw it away. Are you interested?"
Cool.
I'm like, "Yeah." Like a rescue puppy, like, of course I'll go look at it. Ended up being a 75 Slingerland, complete 5-piece.
Wow.
The whole deal. 5-piece, the Buddy Rich chrome over brass snare, cymbals. I get the cymbal stands with the old chair slider bottoms. It was cool. And I took it all apart and put it back together and busted out some speakers and tried to, dust off the cobwebs and stuff. And that was probably 8 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really, that is a lovely story because I don't even know how common that is. It's once you've sort of chosen the path in life, sometimes you can get stuck in there. So it's nice to hear that music reflourished in your life. It's fantastic.
It's exciting. Yeah, it was really cool, and I was excited about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Relit that flame. Yeah,
so it leads rather nicely into this other question that I ask every band that comes on here. And seeing as we're talking about you picking up the drums again, do you practice these days? Do you sit at home and practice? Like on your own type, running exercises type practice.
I'll say not as much as I should,
Right.
but being with these guys and Andy in particular, having a drumming background,
Yeah.
Andy in particular has really pushed me and my limits. And when we first got together and tried out, I was really nervous because I know that drums were not my primary percussion, instrument, drum set, I should say.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that Andy saw, potential, and he's really pushed me to be a much better drummer.
Oh, that's
Nice.
brilliant.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What about the rest of you guys? Matt, do you practice?
I do, yeah. I've, sometimes I'll just set up, I've got a little thing called an iRig that I'll just plug my bass
Sure.
into, like my computer or iPad or whatever, and you can just run on, different bass amp models and stuff and play around on that. So I'll set that up, and we're pretty good about keeping all of our songs on a Google Drive. So we'll just like get our the bass song down. This is how we want it to sound, and then we'll just kind of go off on our own and run through our parts. So
Oh, nice. Okay, that's cool. Do you, outside of the band stuff, is there anything that you're sort of working towards bass wise, or is it just kind of like just in service of the band? You're mostly just doing band stuff.
That's an interesting question. I mean, I'm always kind of striving to learn more on the bass because really it wasn't my first instrument at all. Like it was kind of my most recent instrument, to be honest. So, so I'm always kind of listening to finding different YouTube channels and stuff. Just
Yeah,
guys
I
to
do
follow,
that.
things to pick up, and there's a lot of good kind of tutorials out there and things, and just and like reggae inspirations and things like that I listen to kind of get
Nice.
get different styles in. So
Yeah, cool. There's this guy called Bernd that I'm obsessed with at the moment. He's an Austrian guy who's just a shredder par excellence, and I just watch his videos and try and keep up with him. That's
Yeah.
my that's my most recent one. Yeah. What about you, Andy?
I definitely practice
Yeah.
mode scales. I like to do approach it where you do like your kind of the modes of scales and kind of like the technical, and then you do like a little bit of free play. And then I like
Yeah.
to kind of maybe go back and forth a little bit, because then the free play, like the second time around when I'm really warmed up, is like where the magic seems to start happening.
For
And,
sure. Yeah,
That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah.
And then constantly demoing stuff, almost like over demoing stuff to a point of where like I don't know which one's better. I don't know if you guys ever had that problem, but like
Oh no, absolutely.
And,
I'm going through a little bit of a writing renaissance at the moment. I'm coming up with a song almost every day, and it's cool, but I'm just worried I'm going to get tons of half-finished stuff, and maybe I need to just try and focus it a little bit right now.
that's the problem. The fragments are just overwhelming sometimes,
Yeah, exactly. It is nice to be in a like a fertile period though, because I hate those where you go like 6 months and just nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm in like the opposite mode right now. It's just like
You
popping
gotta,
out
it's
everywhere.
like catch it all right now, and
Yeah.
then like go through it like in like 2 months, or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Are you guys all set up individually at home when you're practicing, that you can quickly flip a switch or something and lay something down if you have a good idea, or is it a little more cumbersome? Or,
Him and I actually live together, so we
Okay.
have the
Oh, there you
back. Our back room is the studio room, and
Perfect.
so when the problem is that some of the stuff leaves when you gig, and then when you come back, it's
set it all up.
set it all up again. But
I know what that's like. That's like my whole life.
it's brutal because like
truth.
he said, you want to do it right then and there.
Yeah.
You hit it, and then you have to go set it all up. It's like it sucks.
Yeah,
and then
so
you don't do it.
The amount of times I've ended up getting twice the amount of gear I need just so that I've got the stuff for the band and then the stuff for myself, but then slowly it drifts into the band stuff, and then all of a sudden, it happens all the time to me. Like I'm waging a constant war against keeping my studio stuff in my studio.
as are we.
Ditto.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
What about you,
actually.
Brian? Do you have something at home?
Yeah, I finally got a dedicated space in one of the spare rooms, and I took the plunge and bought a Roland electronic kit.
Nice.
Killer electric kit.
Yeah, I started looking at like $300 kits, and I don't know, and I kept talking to other drummer friends, and like, dude, just save your money for
A better
at least
kit, yeah.
an entry level Roland, and I did, and I've got a nice space, and I put up some tapestries just to make it as zen as I could. Like
Oh, yeah.
if you pull back, if you pull back one of the Zen curtains, there's circular saws and drills and hardware for the house and everything. So just wanted to have a little place. I got overall, I got a cool lamp and
multifunction.
yeah. And if I need to saw something in a second, it's right behind me.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I try to make the space, and it's neat. You guys were talking. There was the technology. There's apps and stuff, and we talked a little bit about stuff like you can very cleanly remove the drum, or you can take stuff. So I can actually take our stuff, and run it through and take the drum part out and run it against a metronome, and when I get to that, and so it's cool. The technology's been really cool.
Yeah.
The drums are Bluetooth, and I can play all of our stuff, and I don't need a whole ton of studio gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What's that amazing app called where you can just remove? You can put any song.
Moises.
That's it, isn't it? Nuts.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and let me tell you,
amazing.
it is clean. It
Yeah.
is clean. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it on my phone. I mess around with it sometimes. So cool. So
cool.
on the subject of that, do you guys have a way that you write songs? Like, is there a creative process, or does it just depend?
I think for the stage we're at now, it's mostly kind of my songs, let's be honest, But we'll do a song and then we'll start grooving on a groove, and all of a sudden there's a new song that we all wrote. Right. And so those, a lot of times when you see us, the first song we play is like the groovy song that we just wrote together as a band. So we have a bunch of those now, and one of them morphed into a complete song, but a lot of them are in this stage where maybe give it 6 months and then I can structure it out and finalize it, all that.
So you feel? Would it be fair to say that the creative process for this band is still somewhat nebulous and hasn't necessarily found a?
I would say 100%, because in this, it's kind of funny. Now we're back to singles, as it used to be albums for a long time, and now we can kind of make our own way a little bit, because we had our first single. It is I Feel Good. It's reggae inspired, right?
Yeah.
But we're so much more than just that. We don't really want to just do that. And so we're not doing just that.
But I tell you what, it's not a bad way to go. I mean, reggae's just exploding these days. So,
Sure is.
if you were going to be just one thing, that's not a bad one to go
Sure.
for.
We can release a lot of different styles this year to kind of, I would say, maybe put a point on it, and maybe in 6 months you'll have more of a better picture of what we actually are.
Yeah, I see.
Shake is doing a lot where they have a lot of reggae inspired stuff, or at least they did in the very beginning when I first started hearing them and talking to them, and every time they release another song, it's it's different but still feels like them, and you know, so I imagine you guys are going to be a lot like that, where you're finding your way until you can find your sound, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Or that the sound is that it changes.
Or the sound is that it changes,
And the funniest thing is I like that idea better a little bit, that it all changes, but back when we were doing albums, it never worked. And now I wonder if it actually will work now.
I see what you mean.
Doing singles,
It just keeps it fresh, man. I think, I don't know, you get these bands that have amazing music, but every song starts sounding. I hate to. I'm not dogging on reggae by any means, but there are some bands where you listen to their album and by about the third song, you're like, have I gotten to the third song, or am I still listening to the first song? The lyrics are different, but it's the same beat and the same. So I can see where if you stick with one genre, it could get mundane.
So my band when I was in England was called Sonic Boom 6, and our first album was called The Rough Guide to Genre Terrorism. And it was just every song was totally different to the next.
Terrorism.
The whole kind of point of that band was what the whole point of it was that we were just kind of exploring different stuff. It was good fun, good times.
Yeah. So Andy, when you're writing stuff, are you writing the whole song as a whole, or are you coming up with, say, the rough outline of the song, the guitar, the lyrics, etc., and then sending it to the guys and letting them do some stuff, or are you doing that but guiding them and saying, I'd like to hear this for the bass and I'd like to hear this for the drums, or are you letting them put in a little bit of their flavor, or how's that all work when you guys are writing?
I think the crux of the idea would probably come from me, and then I would probably guide and I probably do guide you guys on what maybe I hear in my head, I'd say. And then I would say 50% of the time what I hear in my head when put out into the world is complete dog shit.
Right,
So
yeah.
then I say, why don't you do what you got to do on the
Why don't you do
bass?
something
We got to
better.
polish that dog shit. So.
And that's something, because I've been kind of doing my own thing for a long time where I would multi-track, and it just gets so boring. Like, it's me on the drums, me on the guitar, me on the
Sure.
bass, and then it just becomes hollow, and then I lose interest in the song and I move on.
Yeah.
So now that I have actually these dedicated like friends to help actually put their spin, it makes the song more than a sum of its parts.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with that, and I think that it's just really important when you play in a band with people to embrace the fact that you are a band, you know, and it's multiple voices, and it makes the music more interesting without a shadow of a doubt.
100%.
Like, it's so easy to go the other route and kind of just completely control it, but you find yourself ironing out the stuff that's interesting about it.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know? Like, and I think that with this last album that we did, a lot of the song, I'd say about a third of the songs were virtually already written, but then just through playing them in the band and playing them live a bunch of times, they're really a lot different than they were when the guys first started to play them. And I'm glad that we sort of waited to record all that stuff, because by the time, I mean, you're still developing them now when you play. You know,
There's stuff that when we did the album release party, I played different at the album release party than I did on the album, just because after we recorded and after we mastered and everything, I was like, oh, you know what would be cool is if we did this. And I'm like, damn it, I wish I was out on the album. You know?
Yeah.
That happens
record
so
that
much.
one, yeah.
That happens so much.
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
That's the whole thing. It's like it's something I had to get in my head, is that the recording doesn't matter as much as you really think it does as an artist. I would say it's really just especially now, I'd say it's even like it's content. It's a piece of content.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And it's less of like you got to get the thing 100% perfect and this and that. And that's something I had to take away from my perspective over the last 2 years.
right.
Well, that brings up a good point or a good topic, and that's, you know, content, social media. Who's doing that for you guys? Are you doing it all yourselves? Do you have people doing it?
Now we're doing it all ourselves right now.
And how do you feel about it? Like,
do
how
you,
do you
do you,
navigate
do you like
it and all
split
that
it
stuff?
up? Like, who does it the most?
Or do you absolutely despise it?
So Brian is really good at photos, and he does the
Like the
flyers,
graphics,
the bills,
right.
the graphics. He's really good at pulling
It's a bass player thing, man. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And then I do kind of the social media kind of campaign, and then Matt is really good with the computer, so he just does all of our kind of back end stuff. I'd say
Nice.
website and that type of thing.
Right. It's a group effort so far.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. That works really well.
It's getting to a point, I'd say, that because I took a little bit of like 2 weeks off around the holidays, let's say, and then to get back into it was actually very difficult. I'm not gonna lie.
That momentum is
momentum's gone.
Are you guys consistently creating content, or is it like when
3
when
Cs.
yeah, when you can?
I'm consistently creating content now. I actually do it before work. Now I have to, and
Yeah.
that's the only way. I'm like a different person before like 8 a.m. for some reason. I'm like firing, and so I just
Oh, cool.
kind of get it that stuff, and then, but I'd like to be like 3 months ahead, and I'm like 2 weeks ahead. Let's say that. So
Yeah, we have a lady, Danielle, who does our social media, and she does a great job. She just keeps it. There's always something there every day, and I've been talking a lot about her for some reason the last couple of weeks. Maybe it's just because I appreciate her.
Well,
so
we
much, but-
we keep recommending her to everybody, but we got to stop because she's ours.
I'm taking notes.
No, for real. Big props to Danielle, man. She
Yeah.
comes out to a good fair amount of our shows. If they're within a reasonable driving distance for her, she'll try to come out and take a bunch of pictures and stuff for us, and then she edits those pictures and photoshops or whatever, she photoshops my gut out of it and stuff. Dyes my beard for me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, she takes these photos, and even just today, there was a photo that I shared today for one of our events this weekend, and it was a picture of me in black and white playing the upright bass, and I had not one, but two of my, I'm an artist also, and I have a lot of photographer friends because of it. And so I had one, not one, but two professional photographers from around the country that are like friends of mine that commented on there. They're like, "Oh, that's a great photograph." And I was like, "Man, damn, Danielle, you killed it." You know?
that's cool.
So big props to Danielle. But yeah, she comes out. We're blessed, man. She comes out. She takes pictures. She posts them. She uses. She creates the events for us on Facebook. She manages our Facebook, our Instagram, occasionally Twitter, but we don't do that very often.
I don't know what we'd do without her at this point.
Yeah, she
great.
creates. I gave her newsletter tools and stuff that I was doing that I was trying to create, but I couldn't keep up with it. And so now, the beginning of the month, the first of the month, I think it's the first Monday of the month, she sends out a newsletter, and it's this whole Killbillies newsletter. It's got some 561 music stuff on it, and it's got our whole calendar for the month on it.
Cool.
And then it's been a blessing.
Yeah, I think if you can see it from that outside perspective too, even though it is quite a lot of work, it's not like it's not just adding to the mountain of other stuff that you have to do as a band, because like there is a lot of other stuff that we have to do band-wise.
100%.
And I think that it can get a little bit overwhelming at times. So just being able to delegate some of it is.
But I
just
think in the
wonderful.
world in the world of multimedia today, and the world of online and social media and everything else, content is king. Like you said, there used to be a time where you really slaved over and killed yourself, and we did it. We did it for this album. I mean, it's just it was a fact of life. We did it. Ben mixed the album, and God bless him, he spent like hours and days and weeks and months and whatever mixing this thing. And so we're guilty of it, but there is that we have come to that point in time now where it doesn't have to be great. It just has to be good. Good enough. And I mean, honestly, how many times have you listened to an album, like, years ago, especially before all the social media and everything, you'd listen to an album and then you'd go see this band, you were all fired up, and you go see this band, you're like, damn, they suck live. Wouldn't it be way better to listen to their music and think these guys are pretty good, I'm going to go see them, and then when you see them live, you're like, holy shit, they're on fire. They're way better live. It should be it should be about the live show. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The songs, it's less about the finished product and more about creating content.
Yeah, and that goes against everything in my bones.
Sure, 1,000%. 1,000%.
So like some songs we're playing now, I wrote a decade ago for real, and like a couple of them, and they just, because of this, I would say a decade ago was a weird time in music. Like it was like you didn't know, it was like the CDs were dying, and then
Mumford & Sons.
Yeah,
True.
That's about when that started. Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with that. But
it was a weird time. It was like the end of that almost. It was the end of that kind of folk thing, and then it was like there was just this weird what's happening period of time in the teens there. Yeah,
it was
like
a
weird time.
I used to be able to sell my like demo disc. That used to be like a stream of income. I used to get like 100 or at least 80, let's say, a couple of CDs, sold back then, and then. Now I don't even do them, but now you're saying that you do one or two, so I guess.
Yeah, so you know what? Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. One of the things I did for money when I lived in Manchester in England was I used to busk, and all of the money, like I did it for a couple of years, and it was really my main source of income at one point. And we would just stack up CDs that we would burn, and $10 a pop, and that's just printing money, honestly, and like you can't do that anymore, which is just a tragedy because that was easy money.
It was just, now that you say it like that, we just had a nice window there to.
Yeah. I think people buy them now. Like you get an occasional person that buys it because I mean, for lack of a better description, they're older and that's what they listen to is still CDs. And maybe you get an occasional person that buys it just to be supportive of the band, just to be supportive of the local scene.
Most people, that's the reason why they buy it.
Yeah. And some people, it just makes nice coasters. So
for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I try to sell them in a set of 6. They don't always go for it. But.
Oh, there you go. You added a tag to the joke.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah. They're coasters. You should sell them in a set of 6, man.
That's hilarious. So, how have you found the local Florida music scene in terms of have you found it supportive, and like what's it been like when you've been playing out?
It's absolutely unbelievably supportive.
Yeah, man.
And
except Ricky.
No,
Yeah,
Ricky throws
no.
things at you at your shows, doesn't he?
Ricky really is the guy.
Yeah, man.
You guys
I
are
don't-
on the show because of Ricky. He reached out to me.
Did he?
and- Yeah,
Oh,
he reached
man.
out to me and said you guys had to be on the show. So
Yo, you the
So-
man. I don't want to, ride you too hard. So you're the man. But South Florida scene is really amazing. I can't believe actually the first time around I kind of missed it. I'm gonna be honest. I was here for like 3.5 years, and then I moved down to Miami. So I was in that scene in Miami for like 2 years. But the Palm Beach scene is amazing, and
Yeah, I
and I'm
agree.
super pumped that we actually just really broke into it a little bit, and
Yeah.
so that's I'm happy. Aren't you guys
Well,
happy?
Oh yeah, it was
for sure.
it was neat how we made that connection. So
Brian actually did it. Brian does all of our legwork, and he really will plant a seed, and 6 months later,
I'm the
9 months
talker
later.
of the band.
Nice.
So I use social media. I follow a lot of bands that I really like, and I also use it to see bands that are passing through venues. And a lot of the bands now are doing live feeds, and I'll give them all a listen and check them all out. And if they catch my interest, I'll say to these guys, hey, listen, we got to go check out this band over here, or I'll send them a link. I just love music.
Yeah.
So it was online. I guess I started following the Shake because I saw some of the videos and I thought they were really cool. And then I saw they did a podcast.
yeah.
So I started following their podcast, and then I earned like a top fan badge or something. You
Oh,
do on
neat.
social
wow.
media, whatever. But I would
We call that stalker badges.
listen. It worked.
Yeah,
But
man.
I just because I liked I looked at stuff I like to comment, be supportive of the stuff that bands do, and so I would say, oh, great podcast, just comments. So I saw that they were playing up at Matthews Brewing,
Yep.
opening for Spread the Dub, which I also love those guys.
Yeah.
And they had just gotten off the stage, and Spread was going up, and I was up there with my girl. I go, hey, listen, I got to go say hi to these guys. And I walked up to the band, and Ricky goes to me. He goes, "You're Brian Dawes, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Don't go anywhere. I need to talk to you." I'm like,
And then
it
he
was
said, security?
"Yeah." He didn't tell me about that part, but he was.
He's
he
a
was
very
just,
thoughtful man. He's
Yeah.
very on it. Like,
yeah, but he was so cool
Yeah.
and just so supportive, and he's like, thanks so much for acknowledge like everything I did with following the band, and we just got to chatting, and I said, listen, the Bucc Stops Here, I said we would love to open for you guys sometime, and he said, can you guys do a set of original stuff? And I go, yeah, of course we could, and I might have been a little ahead of the curve with it, but and he goes, listen, we're hitting the road. When I get back, let's connect, and away we went. He got back
nice.
and got these guys on board, and he's a righteous dude, man. He's just his passion for music is pure.
Oh my
That-
word.
well,
100%.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the thing.
right.
Like the Florida scene is unbelievably supportive.
Right.
Unbelievable. Like I've yet to meet. You get in a rare occasion. You get an asshole, but for the most part, like 99.9% of the musicians around here are super supportive of other musicians. That being said, Ricky's like the poster child for that.
yeah.
He
Agreed.
is so supportive.
There's
and
this
tries
innocence about him, which is just. It's not naivety. It's just like purity. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It's-
Oh yeah,
it's-
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good dudeism.
it's just
Yeah.
it's purity, and he literally wants to rise to the top, and he wants to bring everybody with him.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
absolutely.
makes you feel that way, sure.
Yeah. But Andy, you were saying earlier that you felt like the first time you were here, you didn't really connect with the scene, and then you did the next time. You feel like maybe you missed that, but
Totally.
to be honest with you, like I was born and raised here. I've been here my entire life. To be honest with you, there was a lull in the scene probably about that time that you were here.
Really?
So yeah, when I was younger, there was all these places on Clematis, and it was really hopping, and there was Ray's Downtown Blues, and there was Spanky's, and all these clubs that you could go to for a couple of bucks, and you go see these live bands and punk bands and all sorts of awesome bands, local bands. They had fairly good name bands that would come through there, and then the local bands would open for them and stuff, and that went on for years. Eventually Ray's went away, Spanky's got bought out or something, the buildings I don't even think there anymore, and so there was a space and time there, which is probably about the time frame that you're talking about, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark. There was a space there where I was doing cover bands, and I was in a Nirvana tribute band of all things, but we were doing all these different things. because the original scene, if it was there, it was
there
very,
was all
it
the
was
swamp
very
punk
buried.
stuff. There was like Everyman and all those guys.
Yeah, it was there, but it was very
Yeah.
buried. And I would say it wasn't until probably 5, 6, 7 years ago that it really just all of a sudden it started popping back up again. Yeah. And then I don't know, for me, it probably because of the podcast and meeting all these musicians and stuff, in the last 2 years, I've definitely seen it. It's, the podcast has opened up my eyes hugely to it. But
Yeah, it's definitely that red car syndrome a little bit because you don't know. Is it just because every week we meet a new band? It could be that, you know. 'Cause it definitely feels like loads going on, but then it's just because we've kind of like shoved ourselves into the middle of it all.
yeah.
You're like in the web right now. And
Yeah.
you're just kind of
Yeah, you're
going
catching
through
them all,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been a lot of fun, honestly. I got to tell you, man, I love doing this.
I hate it.
And I think the first time around, I was kind of strictly doing kind of cover
Yeah.
gigs because it was the source of income, like more so than right now at the moment. I mean, obviously we play and we. Make
How
money
often
and
do you
stuff
play?
like that.
How many times a week or a month?
As the full band, we're playing like 4 times a month, I'd say, and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
we have duo and solo gigs throughout there as well.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And
And we were talking a little bit about this before the show. Are those the solo and the duo gigs are probably more like the 3 and 4 hour
Right.
fill it up with covers kind of thing?
well, yeah. So this is the funny thing about our band is we started kind of doing the 3-hour shows. That's how we started, and we're still doing those primarily, and then we're actually working on those original shows.
Yeah.
And Fat Cats is really great at allowing every once in a while to put on an original show. I know we did that with Ricky, and
Yeah, Ricky was telling me he's got he's got his ear to be able to do some more of those original shows because it was really successful. So
yeah, it was
really?
that was
Yeah.
fun, super fun. A couple other bands.
that was the Boca location.
That was the boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dominic killed it.
Yeah,
Zipper
the
Band was
Zipper
amazing.
Band was great. Yeah,
The Shake, right?
and
Yeah.
and the Shake. Yeah,
There
of
was
course.
In and Out Set.
I remember that when that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember seeing all the stuff about that. Okay.
Hey, I was just talking to Ricky about that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was all
probably
original.
a week
all
ago.
100% original music, which was cool.
Yeah.
I see that. You know what? It's a great time in music because it's almost going back to the source in a way. It's like, I was looking at bands before they were famous. There's like a couple of things online. You can see them. They used to rent out VFW halls and stuff like that, and like you made a scene. Like, you remember, Denny's, the
Yeah.
Grand Slam at Denny's. You ever see
Yeah.
that? If
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
check it out.
yeah.
That's hilarious. But now it's almost like kind of what you said. The original music venues are dying or they're gone or
A
there's
lot of them
lot
around. There's not that many around.
There's like 1 or 2 left in the Miami-Dade County.
There's probably 2, maybe 3 left here around here.
And that can't be just what's going to happen. I mean, there's enough people who like live music where something's got to give.
I
Well,
think
yeah.
I think part of it is though. I think in part it's a lot to do with venue owners, and it has a lot to do with the money.
100%.
Yeah.
If you have a band that's playing 4 hours and they're playing all the covers that everybody likes to hear and all the anthem rock and everything else, they're gonna pack the place. The owner's gonna be happy. They're gonna make money at the bar, and everybody's gonna be happy.
Right.
You put in a band there like Hillbillies or the Bucc Stops Here or whatever that nobody's heard of before, or you're gonna get 10 of your friends, and then the owner's gonna go, well, that sucked.
Yep.
So I think there's a fine line. Like what Ricky's doing, where he's putting these shows together, and then maybe all the bands can try to, you have a show with several decent, good bands,
Yeah.
and that's trying to, fill the venue. But
Yeah,
I
that-
think
it
I
is
think
a smart way of
yeah,
doing it.
Yeah, I think, and I hate to say it's on us as musicians, but it is on us as musicians and as bands to try to change the mentality of the venue owners.
And you're right there. It really is up to our sense of integrity as to whether we're willing to raise our own bar. Almost,
That's
you know?
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And not choose money, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're taking a pay cut when you do these shows.
Of course.
And so,
yeah.
Of course.
you got to do it for the love, and you got to do it. You have to do the groundwork and get people there. Period. And then so that goes back to your social media campaign. That goes back
Yeah.
to all of the things that you put in a week or 2 or 3 or a month before the gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you try to do those 2 days before the show, you'll never get people there. That's the one problem there.
No,
And-
totally. And for a bit before the before the previous 561 Music Festival, we were putting on these little gigs, and we were. I mean, it would be nice to do some more coming up, but I don't think we have any weekends off from Killbillies. But we might figure something.
It'd
out.
have to be like a Thursday gig,
or like a Sunday or something. But like I do love those original gigs. It's so much fun.
Just put Ricky in charge of it. It'll happen.
Yeah,
he'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, who has like a 4-hour original set? Like maybe Spread the Dub has a 4-hour original set, right?
Rush or something.
Oh yeah, Rush. Okay.
Bruce Springsteen.
right.
I'll tell you that.
The Beatles. So when you guys are playing, when you are playing, like 3-4 times a month as a full band, are those primarily the original 45-minute set, hour set type of things?
No, they'll be like the 3 hours.
They are still the 3 hours.
And
okay.
what we'll do, we'll actually just now front load our original set.
Yeah.
We'll just do an hour and a half. We're just going to do original. And then they love it, go on break, and then we do our kind of...
We started doing that where,
yeah.
especially when the album was coming out, to practice for the album launch, we were doing three sets for a 3-hour gig. We were doing 3 sets, and the middle set it would be the album basically.
Yeah, and I don't know whether yours is a better idea. Do it at the beginning, and so then when they start tiring of it, you just play all the songs. No, that's actually maybe smarter. I don't know.
Yeah.
We started peppering. We started spreading it out a little bit and peppering them in there, but we still play. I mean, in a 3-hour night, over the course of the night, we probably still do an hour and a half of our stuff.
Yeah.
We try to stick it in there as much as possible, as much as people will let us, and they seem to dig it. So I think people appreciate.
Of the time
they do.
I think people appreciate original music. They appreciate listening to something new. They don't know that they appreciate it until they actually hear it.
And sometimes they ask for more of it too. Like we'll play an original song, they'll be like, "Yeah, let's play some
of
of those."
I tell you what, that's a great way of bringing the crowd around as well. The reason being that who the hell is going to say no? If you say on the mic, you want to hear another one of our own songs, and then they kind of buy into the whole idea, and they go, "Okay, yeah, I guess I do." Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're on your side.
But here's the thing:
100%.
Bringing people out to the venue to hear your original stuff, people that haven't heard of you or haven't heard your music or whatever, is a hard sell.
Yes.
Playing your original music for people that are already there because they've filled up the place expecting to hear the cover songs, and they're drinking up a storm and they're having a good time. Now you're slipping in your originals. They probably like your originals. They didn't know they liked them until they heard them. And that's I think it's smart. I hear the argument on both sides of people saying, well, if you want to be a working band, you can play all covers, and I hear the argument of like, well, if you want to make it, whatever, you have to play originals. But I mean, we do both, and we do quite well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing today. I'm trying to be agnostic. I'm trying to not put hard lines and sands in anything. Like in social media, in these gigs, because in Atlanta it's very easy to do an only original set because you're at Smith's Soul Bar, you're at the Masquerade, you're at these really good venues.
Eddie's Attic, there's some good. Yeah.
Here it's a beach bar at the moment where what we're playing, and we're doing originals and covers. That's how it is, and then that's just how we have to do it. And we're gonna do it like that. We're gonna do the covers our way, obviously, and we're gonna do our originals the way we love doing those. And the reception has been like overwhelmingly positive on our originals when we throw them in. So like more so than I thought. So I'm pretty pumped with that.
Yeah, they're just really seamless to our style. But they, when you throw, I've noticed when you throw an original in, you go from being background music to like something like you'll see people like what's
the ears
song?
perk up, right?
Yeah, what song is you
want? It's more of a concert at that point. They're listening to you.
Yeah,
they're actively listening.
That's cool. Switch it up, even on. Even on covers, if you flip them around and don't make them just the same thing that everybody's heard 100 times, it gets
There's
their
almost
attention.
no way for us to play songs the way they were originally.
Yeah, we have a banjo, an upright, and a guitar. So.
It's gonna be.
And we don't have
right?
a drummer. We use feet. We use feet drums.
That's amazing.
Impressive, by the
That's
way.
cool.
So
man.
That's very
every cover
impressive.
we do is like it's our way.
There's
no other way to do it.
As a drummer,
That's
for
the way
you
it
guys,
should be.
I wanted to compliment on
coordinate.
that the drum footwork, by the way. It's
these
very
guys,
impressive.
man. These guys,
For me
the
to
coordination between these two is ridiculous.
killer, man.
James just jumped in there and was like, okay, I'm going to be doing the kick. We did have the conversation like, who's going to do the kick, who's going to do the snare? Because originally it was Micah on the kick, me on the snare. Then for a bit of a period in between, I was just doing a lot of solo gigs with both feet drums, and so we could have switched them, but
But James was like, nope, I'm doing the kick. And he just had all this confidence and just did it. And it worked. It worked. So
Well, it was probably in his head. It was probably just an easier to 1, 3,
Yeah,
1,
maybe,
3,
yeah.
1, 3. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Listen, all this talk of playing music, why don't you guys play some songs for us?
We'd love to.
That'd be great.
That'd be fantastic.
Let's do it.
Excellent.
Said what's one more time, I said let's roll. I feel it so fine. One more time, I said let's ride. It's the city streets be my rhythm and flow. I said let's go, let's go. I feel good. Been down so long, say one more time, I said let's roll. I feel it so fine. One more time, I said let's ride. It's the city streets be my rhythm and flow. I say let's go, let's go. I miss the sea sunshine, rhythm, cumbia breeze. I miss the people in the streets, Caribbean, NYC. I need to feel the rhythm rhyme. I said it's lost to me. Foreign and domestic, got the people we see. I see that that's the bottom dollar. Don't you drop it a dime. It's the rhythm rhyming and we're feeling so fine. We in the hoop shots making hits one at a time. Are you feeling how we feel? 5, 6, 1. I feel good. Been down so long, say one more time. I said let's roll. I feel it so fine. One more time, I said let's ride. It's the city streets be my rhythm and flow. I say let's go, let's go. Taking a long time, I said I feel this good. It's been different shades of gray under the stress. We took a quick trip to the Keys to keep our cup half full. I got to hop in a truck, I got to clear my soul. Life can be all that if we take the time. Cultivate today a sober state of mind. So we hit the gas at the cruise control. Hit I go, I feel good. And down so long, say one more time. I said let's roll. I feel it so fine. One more time, I said let's ride. It's the city streets be my rhythm and flow. I say let's go, let's go, let's go for a ride. And we hit the city lights. Said let's go, let's go, let's go for a ride, yeah. Feel cool. Been down so long, said what's one more time, said let's roll. I feel it so fine. One more time, said let's ride. It's the city streets be my rhythm and flow. I say let's go, let's go. I feel good. Been down so long, say one more time, I said let's roll. I feel it so fine. One more time, I said let's ride. It's the city streets be my rhythm and flow. I say let's go, let's go. I said let's go for a ride and we hit the city lights. I said let's go for a ride and we hit it all night and rockin' the truck till we feeling alright. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I said let's go for a ride and we feel it alright. I said let's go for a ride and we hit it alright and rockin' the truck till we feeling alright. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
steel track brings me hope. Another life awaits. I keep staying my course. Keep driving the train. When I go off the rails, and I always come back. It's only fire I stoke. Steel track brings me hope. It brings me hope. When I'm on my way, it brings me hope. And it gets me home. It brings me. Steel track brings me hope. I feel weary with age. I spent so long out on this deep blue world, hoping it stays the same. So I walked up those 3 brick steps and out of the pouring rain. I need to feel this feeling once again. It lives on in my brain. It brings me home. Ooh, when I'm on my way, it brings me home. And it gets me home. And it brings me back home. No, 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 no. It brings me home. It gets me home. It brings me.
.561 Music is brought to you by Handlebars Bar and Grill. It's a biker bar in Tequesta, and if you're driving up US 1, you come across it on the right-hand side. It's a little bar there. It's bright yellow. You can't miss it with the handlebars on the sign. And it has a long and storied history. It's been there. It used to be called Judy's, and it was run by this guy Victor, who sadly passed this year, R.I.P. Victor. And then my father-in-law took it over, and he's doing a great job up there. There is a bike night every second Thursday of the month, and there is a jam every fourth Sunday of the month. If you're interested in that kind of thing, it's just an all-inclusive, any kind of music, any style, any ability type of a jam. And there's great beers on tap, and they're wonderful food. Bernsey, the chef, does a fantastic job. If you're interested in classic cars or classic bikes, there's always that kind of stuff hanging around there. It attracts that sort of a crowd because it's called Handlebars Bar and Grill, so it makes sense. And yeah, you should come swing by. It's definitely a local spot and has a lot of character. And there's people who have been going there for decades and decades. It's one of those places that's a part of the furniture in Tequesta, and you should definitely come check it out. I booked the music for the place and love doing it, and I was a part of helping set the place up, and I'm a huge fan. And you should, anyone who is interested in biker bars, or even if you've just never been to one and you're curious about what a biker bar is about, you should go and check out Handlebars Bar and Grill. We are also sponsored by Oasis Root. Now, Oasis Root Kava Bar is in Sea Grape Square on Indiantown Rd, and it is a kava bar. If you don't know anything about kava, it's a Polynesian root that you grind up and you mix with water. And it has been in Polynesia for potentially thousands of years. It's an old thing that they used for kind of ceremonial and also sort of leisure purposes. It's meant to be something where, that brings people together. You all take a shell of Kava and chink them together and say bula and have it together like that. It's meant to be something to bring people together. It's has a kind of an effect, which is, I guess, a kind of a slightly warming effect. It just kind of makes you feel nice. It's not particularly intoxicating. It's not like drinking alcohol. So the atmosphere in a Kava bar is sort of like a cross between a regular bar and a coffee house. It's pretty chill in there. You get all sorts of different types of Kava bars. Some of them are more like a club, there's sort of like blacklight and EDM playing. And some of them are more like a cafe. This is one of the cafe type of ones. It's super chill in there. If you're looking for somewhere to, I don't know, maybe go and do some work on your laptop or go and have a chat with friends, it's perfect for that kind of thing. There's a foosball table in there if that's your jam, or baby-foot as they call it in France. And Jim, the owner, is a really cool guy, and he has very kindly sponsored our podcast. So thank you very, very much for that, Jim. They also do a poker night in there, all sorts of things going on at Oasis Route Kava Bar. 561 Music is sponsored by Live Music Community. It's where we film the podcast that you're listening to right now, and it's also where I work. Gavin, Hector's son, was a student here for a long time, and in many ways he's the musician he is today because of the teachers at Live Music Community. We taught him not only about his instrument, but also about being in a band, and his band, Unemployed Youth, accomplished a lot of goals, mostly band etiquette, how to work together, and all of the nitty-gritty that goes into being in a band on a day-to-day basis. The student signs up for lessons, learns their instrument, joins a real band, and decides the direction it goes in. And we can take people from very young age, 6 or 7 years old, all the way up to 80. There's no age limit here. We run an adult program for people who want to be in a band as adults, but really the main focus is on the kids and getting them playing together and in bands. We are also a studio, a live stream venue, and we can record audio or video. The Killbillies live album, Warts and All, was recorded here. It was recorded during a live stream that we did during COVID. Justin had a great idea to record live streams during COVID. A ton of bands came in, and it was a real success. But outside of that, we can record albums, we can help you with your EPK, and we have full audio-visual capabilities here. LMC is in Palm Beach Gardens on the northwest corner of Military Trail and North Lake Boulevard. It's north of the gas station, right before you get to North Lake on Military Trail. And if you go to livemusiccommunity.com, you have all the information you'll need right there. Thanks. So seeing as we've been talking about Live Music Community, which is where we are sitting right now, do you have any advice for upcoming musicians, guys, for any chance?
I would say, and I've learned this recently in music and following music, whatever your goal in your mind is musically, just go after it. Like we've had great opportunities just going after it. If we decide we want to do X, execute the plan the best you can. Make connections, go out and see bands you like, network with musicians. We talked about earlier how amazing the music community is. Just stick to a goal. Go after what you're hungry for.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen if you don't do it.
Yeah. What James always says is the difference between like musicians and people who aren't musicians is musicians are still doing it. You're just doing it still. Yeah. Like that's pretty much as simple as that. You just got to do it.
Yeah. I think that's really what it is that just to execute and don't. And just be open to when new things come, and they are going to come, they're going to serve as a benefit most of the time. Sometimes they disrupt, but go with the flow, roll with the punches. That's one thing. Don't be, the guy who's just harping on something that is long gone.
Yeah.
Don't sweat the small stuff, in other words.
100%.
Yeah, excellent.
Know when the song is over and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I say never stop learning. Like always just kind of keep an open ear for inspiration and,
Yeah.
you know, and no matter what style it is, it may be something you don't listen to often, but you can take elements and, you know, hear things from there and kind of, you know, use on your own and use in the band. And,
Yeah,
you know,
it keeps you fresh. That's
100%.
Yeah.
ever since ever since I've sort of stopped drinking in 2020, the end of 2019, I've been sort of been pushing myself to discover different musical things and to be practicing and stuff. And this whole hurdy-gurdy adventure, I can't tell you how happy it's made me that I have this hurdy-gurdy teacher on Zoom and I'm learning more and stuff, you know. Just that keeping it fresh like that is really important, you know.
for sure.
I love it.
I mean, I don't listen to, I never did before. I never listened to like the Hillbilly style of music, the folk stuff and everything. I never listened to that, any of that stuff. And if you would have told me, you know, 3 years ago that I was going to be in Hillbillies and playing, you know, 3-4 nights a week or whatever it was, I would have told you you're nuts. But but here we are, and I'm playing upright bass, which I had never played until I got to Hillbillies, you know. So it's been like you said, man. Always learn something new. Always be open to it.
Yeah.
You know, and
You never know.
I'm loving it.
Right. You
know?
never know when it's going to hit you.
I think our first group, he was playing piano, and
Yeah.
and it just wasn't until he got on the bass that it clicked.
Yeah, keep at it and keep trying new stuff. Absolutely. So you guys played a couple of songs there. Could you tell us a little bit about the songs that you played?
Sure. We did I Feel Good. It's our first single. It was released early December. And it's just, I wanted to do an upbeat song that people can dance to.
Yeah.
That's
Right
really
on.
what it comes down to it. Keep it light. Really, the content actually was about is about COVID. Really, not really about COVID, but about like just what you miss. You know, I miss the sea, I miss the sunshine, I miss people, I miss that type of thing. And so when basically that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And then there was that one.
Oh, and then the second one is
Yeah.
Steel Tracks. It's an older track that him and I wrote together back in 2016, I'd say.
Yeah.
That was
And-
lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Hillbillies could cover that.
Yeah,
Please do.
busting out the harmonica.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Gone through a few iterations, but that one, it's just about like I would say it's about someone who, I would say a homeless man who's on a train. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
Okay.
A wandering nomad.
Wandering nomad. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Perfect song for you guys.
Yeah. The wise homeless man is a very it's a solid musical trope, you know. It's
Yeah,
definitely been
100%.
used. Yeah, a good one though. There's this like Mr. Wendell stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No kidding, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. We got some pictures of your kit, don't we? Why don't we take a look at that?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe Justin's on the phone.
Sorry, guys, I had a problem.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
That's all
Still
right.
good.
I'll just.
I was gonna say I didn't mention in just musical stuff. I played the snare drum at a bagpipe and drum corps for like 3 years. That was like the coolest.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a we can talk about it later, but it was like a full circle thing. When I was like 17, my dad had a lot. I found my dad, who was a bass player and a singer, and I had a lot of connections around town, and he knew I loved to play drums, so he pulled some strings and got me an audition for the Pittsburgh Police Pipe and Drum Corps. And like they rarely let non-police in, and I blew it because I was 17. I was probably an ass, and chasing girls and whatever, doing smoke weed, whatever, just dumb 17-year-old shit. And I blew it, and I knew I was disappointed. And then like 6 or 7 years ago, I was at this big bonfire, and they had the surprise pipe and drum thing. Like I'm getting like goosebumps. And the surprise pipe and drum thing, and just like pixie dust fell out of the heavens. I'm like, now's my chance to make it right.
Wow.
That's
That was,
awesome.
that was the coolest, probably my best musical story. Just I all have my hair
Oh,
standing.
I love that.
But that was like it was just cool and neat, and I joined up, and luckily I knew how to read music, and I just it was fun.
Yeah,
But,
that's awesome, man.
All right, so you might have a little editing to do.
Yeah, I'll just cut out that section. Yeah, just if you want to
I'll
just
just put it up there right now.
put it up now.
And go up and just, it's like the last 2 minutes before.
Whatever, it's fine. I'll cut it out. Are you gonna talk to them about the drugs and alcohol? And
Oh yeah, I'll
do that after this. Yeah.
You guys have drugs and alcohol?
Yeah, all the time, all the time.
All right, let's do it. So this is your drum kit. Can you tell us a little bit about it, mate?
So yeah, I call that like my hybrid kit. So before I met these guys, and pre-COVID, I was a percussionist in an acoustic trio. We played about 3.5 years, and the main kit that I had for that setup was you see the cajon there with the seat cushion, and a djembe. That was my, and you saw the brushes for my cajon earlier. So that was my
they're cool, man.
That was my primary percussion, and then we started doing some little bigger gigs, and the guys in the band asked me about, could you like incorporate like a kick and a snare and maybe a hi-hat just to open up a little bit with the music, because they were doing a lot of classic rock and stuff. So I went through a couple iterations. I found a reverse cajon kick pedal that I don't have to use my heel for. It's just like a standard, feels like a standard kick pedal.
Yeah.
But it just runs backwards and hits the front of the cajon. And I'm not sure what snare that is. It might be my Slingerland snare, and I actually had a mahogany snare made that matches my Slingerland kit I talked about earlier.
You had it made? That's awesome.
Yeah, I had it's a deep. It's like a 14x7 with mahogany shell and maple hoops. It's pretty.
Oh, it sounds lovely.
Yeah.
I just got a giant 14x8 maple like snare, and I just love big snares.
Yeah, you would dig it. So, and also the other thing I wanted everything to fit on my cart for one trip, which is essential. I learned that too early on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so I got the cajon kick set up there. I got the hi-hat there. Got a little splash cymbal there. I got a Zildjian Uptown ride. It's like an acoustic ride. It's not too loud. And then on the top of the picture, I also had because of some of the reggae stuff we're doing, I had a mahogany timbale made.
Nice.
Again with the mahogany shell and maple hoop for that classic, ringy, cracky. That. And that's it. Yeah, and it all fits on one cart. And
nice.
So for the cajon kick though, I'm sorry, are you? How are like you're sitting on it, right? Mm-hmm. So do you have a pedal that goes backwards on it?
It's reverse, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got an extension arm, so it's in a natural seated kick position. But when you push down the pedal, the beater swings the other way. And then that's it's kind of a modified set. That's closer to what that's the kick and snare, a hi-hat, and then a hand drum, the djembe.
These allow us to play kind of different gigs, kind of smaller and more intimate, and then we'll bust out the big kit for our shows.
Yeah, so like some of the hotel, poolside, the really cool poolside stuff. It's acoustic, but just cajon and djembe like aren't enough because it's a big open space.
I mean, it makes me wonder to myself, like maybe that sort of the break that you took in music, when you came back at it, you really came back at it with a vengeance. You know? Like just had this kind of fresh outlook on it. That's such an unusual kit in such a good way.
I love this. I love
and
this.
The cool part is you can do it. It's very flexible. The other part I like it's an attention. I'm not for the attention, but it's an eye grabber. Especially musical people will walk by, or like they'll see me playing and they'll hear the kick and they'll walk by and they'll go like this.
And that kick sounds like an 808 too when you mic the cajon.
And and the hand drum.
That. And then he puts his floor tom sometimes on the other side.
Yeah,
just to get a little more low end.
Like push the threshold of the hybrid kit. The matching floor tom with them. I got all maple hoops from my Slingerland.
I'll tell you,
cool.
we get people through here all the time, and then we ask them the same question, and some people show us gear, and some people don't always have gear to show, but for the most part, people will show us, oh, I have this cool guitar, or I've had this, and my dad gave me this, that kind of thing, or these cool pedals, or this cool bass guitar, whatever. Maybe a couple of times we've had drummers show us drums, but like that's really unique. That's really neat.
It's a really cool kit, and I love those kind of interesting setups like that. Got a sort of a small verging on cocktail kit myself, and I just think it's just a fun way to approach the drums for sure, no doubt about it. So the next thing I was going to ask, and is how do you approach the whole kind of hornet's nest of drugs and alcohol when it comes to playing gigs, and do you have any kind of thoughts in that in that sort of arena?
Yeah. Well, personally, I stopped drinking about 14 months ago, and that
Congratulations.
appreciate that. And since then, that really, if I was still drinking, I wouldn't have been able to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
For sure.
At the level, I'd say that I want to be and that we want to be. And that was a conscious choice. We had one not so good gig, and then I just was, I come from a big drinking family back up northeast, and Irish Catholic, and just really, it was a way of life, and only now do I see that it was very unhealthy. Way of
tell me.
life.
It's preaching to the choir over here. Yeah.
And then actually Matt really stopped drinking for 2 years before, and I saw that it can be done, and I saw that I don't even really think about it anymore, and I go and I play in bars and clubs, and it's actually a beautiful thing to disassociate the alcohol with the drink, with the playing,
with the music.
It's a different mindset change going into a bar, because you're going in there for music and playing.
Exactly.
You're not just going to get drunk and whatever.
Totally, it can be done, and I know that with the secret society and all that kind of stuff, they'll sort of talk about how it's like quite dangerous. People will be like, oh, it can be done, but you're sort of walking a tightrope trying to do that. But actually, I found that largely due to the fact that I had very supportive friends who've been great, and the fact that just the kind of bottom I had was like, I can't go back there. It's so I definitely made the decision, And since the decision was made, it actually hasn't been that hard to not drink in bars,
That's it. Once the decision is made, and then you move on with life.
Yeah, I'll tell you. When I joined Killbillies, Ben was already sober for half a year, maybe. Yeah. And so James and I still drink, but we don't drink at the gigs. We don't drink around Ben. We don't drink around the gigs, and that was a conscious decision we made for ourselves out of respect for Ben. It wasn't Ben asking us to do it or anything like that. Nice. And we just did it. We just wanted to be supportive, and it didn't seem like something that we wanted to do. We didn't want to be sitting there pounding beers back in front of Ben, going, you can't have any, that kind of thing. So we didn't.
And plus, your drinking habits are very mild.
Very, very mild, very mild. And they've gotten way more mild since I've joined Killbillies, because I only really drank if I went out. And so call it what you will. I mean, there's different levels of alcoholism. And I guess to a degree you could call it that if you want to call it that. But, I had fooled myself into thinking like, oh, I'm really nervous. I need a beer to take the edge off before I get on. Yeah. And I never got completely wasted or anything like that. I was never like that. But I had fooled myself into thinking that I had to do that every time. And when I made that conscious decision, and again, I do still drink. I drink socially with my wife. At home, if we have a party or something like that, I'll drink. I might have a beer occasionally at a dinner or something like that. I just don't drink at gigs. And but those first few times I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get up on the stage? And I'm sweating bullets and I'm so nervous. And then after about 4 or 5 times, I'm like, this is really stupid. I didn't really need that beer to, it wasn't, I didn't really need that beer to play the music. I mean, I do it 4 times a week for 3 years and I haven't died yet. So. But yeah, it's funny how your mind plays that trick on you that, that you need it, but you don't.
Yeah.
And to see the people around in this scene, a lot of them are sober, and I didn't know that looking on the outside, and it is only
seems like most of the people who are doing a lot effectively are
and I wouldn't have been able to be at a level right now that with that in the mix for me.
It's
these guys drink and they do a really great job, and it is what it is, and
But that's the thing, there's a certain association with drinking and musician there's an expectation almost from the outside, from the outside view. I occasionally someone will either buy us a drink and bring it to us, which really gets awkward, or
happens
says,
like at least once a week.
or says, can we buy you a drink or whatever? And when we say no, they look at us like we have 4 heads all of a sudden. They're like, "What? You don't? What? Not even one? No, nothing." We're like, "No, man, we don't
If you say
drink."
club soda, the look of defeat in their eyes.
Yeah.
totally.
And we don't get into the whole oh, well, Ben's sober, and then we don't drink.
Right.
We just say we don't drink. That's just the easy one. We don't drink. And but they look at you like you're crazy.
I know, yeah. I'd say that out of everything, that is the most awkward thing, and it's not even that awkward. So, it's fine.
But I do have a public service announcement for anybody listening to the podcast. If you walk up to a musician or a band, and there's 3, 4, 5 of these guys in the band, or females, and you ask them if you can buy them a drink, and they say they don't drink, drop a 10 or a 20 into their tip jar.
How about a nice tip? Yeah.
Listen, you were about to drop $50 on drinks.
I'm saying.
Could you throw a 10 into the tip jar? Most of them say, "Oh, okay," and then walk away.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I know it, man.
So that's my PSA for today. If you're not going to buy a band a drink, throw some money at them,
There
please.
should be a sign up in the bars for that,
We don't drink, but we take tips.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that, Hector. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So what have you guys got coming up? What's in the future for the Bucc Stops Here?
So the 28th, we're at Two Georges.
Nice.
Boynton.
I like that place.
That's a fun spot.
Before that, tomorrow I am at the Northwood Arts and Music Warehouse.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Oh, with Dominic.
Dominic,
and stuff?
singer-songwriter.
Yeah, we're doing a singer-songwriter night. Come on
Nice.
out. It'll be, when this airs, it'll be over. but
Andy Stryan.
I believe
Stryan.
so.
That sounds
I always mess up her last. Styron. She's gonna hate me now. She's gonna unfriend me on Facebook. It's like the kiss of death for me.
You'll be all right. She's lovely.
There's a few people we've had on here that are gonna be playing tomorrow. I think everybody that now that you've been on here,
You had
There's a
one.
lot on that
I think
list,
you were
yeah.
the only one that
really?
that hadn't been on here. I think everyone
Okay.
else on the lineup is.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you
awesome.
go.
Look at you.
So,
Come on out, support.
So that's actually a 561 music sanctioned event.
Yes.
Sorry, Ricky. We're taking it. We're taking it.
Co-opted it real quick there. Yeah, no, very nice. So we're playing
We have a busy ass weekend.
playing the Lake Worth Beach Bonfire on
Friday.
Let me
Nice.
ask you about that. I saw the first.
I don't know anything about
I saw the first post of that, and the first thing I thought was, "Man, what a fantastic idea!" How have those events been? Because I haven't.
This will be our first one for
I don't
them.
get to Lake Worth much.
Yeah, this will be our first one. So I mentioned earlier I'm an artist, so I've been doing the Lake Worth Street Painting Festival, the Chalk Festival.
Oh, nice.
I've been doing that for 26 years, 27 years, however long the festival's been around.
That's
I've been doing
really
it that
cool.
long. And
They've got live music there too, right?
yeah, and so the festival just changed hands from the nonprofit that was running it to the city, and this last February was the first one that the city did, and so I made the connection with the city people, and she really loved our art and stuff, and we talked a lot about the art and everything, and Marianne Weber, the lady who used to run the nonprofit or runs the nonprofit that used to run the festival, had made the connection with us in the city and everything, and so. At that point, since I had made the connection with the city, I said, "Hey, the city has some events, and I also have a band," and so that's how we got hooked in with that. And so, trying to use my connections.
That's how
But-
stuff works a lot. Like
But
that.
but I haven't. I've heard from people that have played it. I think I want to say Spread the Dub played it at one point or something last, like maybe November or something. There's been a few bands that I know that have played it that have said it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I've seen photos online where it seems like it's pretty packed beach. My understanding is
Great concept for sure.
the building that's right up on the beach there, they call it the Lake Worth Casino, I guess they call it. It's got all the shops and everything. There's some sort of awning or something that you set up. Now you do have to bring all your own gear, your own lights, your own PA. You have to run all the thing yourself. There's nothing provided.
Right.
But my understanding is you play there facing the beach, and then they build a big bonfire on the beach, and everybody's hanging out on the beach and watching you guys.
awesome.
I love a bonfire. I can't wait.
Yeah. So this
Very cool.
this will be Friday night. And then Saturday, Ben and James are doing a duo at
The group
Square Grouper
yeah.
Jupiter.
Oh, love it.
From 3 to 6.
And then Saturday night, like almost on the heels of that, we're playing a private event at Rybovich Marina.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be
cool.
fun.
yeah. And then
Hang out and be swanky.
yeah. And then Sunday morning, we're getting up bright and early, and we're going to the Gardens Green Market.
Yeah.
Playing that. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on this
Packed
weekend.
weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all interesting stuff that we don't do that often, so it'll be fun.
I'm pretty proud of it because I probably a little over a year ago, started like every now and then using some of my old contacts or new contacts that I've made through the podcast and through other musicians, and would occasionally book something, and Ben's generally the one who books. He deals with the booking agents and everything, and so occasionally I would book something.
And that's just out of default. There's no reason why.
Yeah.
And
so
like
I just every once in a while, now that we've got the Google Calendar going and everything, every now and then I would come across something and I'd be like, hey, we should try to book ourselves here, and then I would just do it. We'd have an open date and I would just do it. But I was realizing this week that our 3 out of the 4 gigs this weekend are full band weekends, and all 3 of those I booked. So I was pretty proud of that.
Good lad.
I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah. I'm proud of you. Proud to.
And they're all really good, fun gigs too, man.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a fun weekend.
You have like a spread right there. You got the private, you got the
We
duo,
do.
you got the full band.
Yeah,
it's pretty
exactly.
good.
Yeah, no, it's a good weekend.
The
man.
Green Market is so fun.
It
I'm
is.
really not a morning person, but I can handle that. Like the Green Market, just because it's such a good vibe.
It's
got a
so
vibe for
fun
sure.
and chill and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, it's good. It's a good one to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's basically it. Why don't you say the stuff that needs saying?
Yeah. 561music.com is where you get all the links. There's links to all of the podcasts, the YouTube page. There's links to sponsor the podcast. There's links to just send us money because you love us and we look great on camera. There's obviously all the podcast links themselves all have links to the bands. You can go back. This is episode 88, 89, something like that. We're creeping up on 100 here, which is getting really close.
Yeah.
So we all that stuff is right there. All our social medias are at 561 Music Podcast. And as always, like and subscribe. The sooner we get all the subscribers that we need on YouTube, and I think we have to have like X number of hours watched on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah.
Once we get all that, we can monetize it. That makes it a little bit easier for us to do what we do, because this does cost us money. It costs Ben and I money, and we don't really make money off of this. The sponsors we have essentially just cover the cost. As you guys know, we did the 561 Music Festival last year on the 1-year anniversary roughly of the podcast. To our I'm not going to say surprise, but we were very, very pleased with the outcome. It was amazing, the support we had. The bands were incredible. The crowds were incredible. The place was packed. It was at Matthews Brewing in Lake Worth. We had 2 stages going. There was never a moment where there was no music, and it was incredible. Place was packed from morning until night, standing room only. I couldn't say enough good things about it. I walked away from there with a huge grin on my face. It was just an amazing festival. So we decided we're going to do it again. So April 1st of this year coming up, we are going to do the festival again. We are going to have I think we're going to stick to the same format. I think we're going to do about 20 bands again,
But
20
I think
artists.
The only difference being that the smaller stage is going to maybe have slightly bigger, bigger
instead of
bands.
doing last year, we did full bands on the main stage and acoustic acts like singles and duos on the smaller stage. I think what we're going to do this year is there may be a couple of acoustic acts here and there, but for the most part, it's just going to be bigger bands on the big stage and smaller bands that we can fit on the smaller stage.
Right.
But it'll still be full production with PA and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just an acoustic or something. But look for that soon. Hopefully we're gonna nail down the bands here soon.
Yeah, Hector and I we're going to bump heads in the next couple of days.
We both
Send
have
out
our
some
favorites,
emails.
and we just need to bump heads and decide what who wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Who gets their choices on there. But look for that coming really soon. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we're talking about planning for it. If you would like to sponsor the festival, please reach out to us. We absolutely cannot do this without sponsors. It costs us a lot of money to do this. Matthews Brewing is very graciously, as they were last year, giving us the venue, basically giving us the venue and allowing us to do it there. There's a lot of things that they're giving us in support of the festival, but we still need volunteers.
Yeah.
We need security personnel.
We're gonna pay the bands.
We have to pay the bands. It's not a cheap thing to do. So if you'd like to sponsor the festival, reach out to us. Come to our website, 561music.com. Just send us an email. It's 561musicpodcast@gmail.com. Just reach out to us. If you have a business and you want to support, we have different tiers. we have tiers for those of you that just have pockets full of money and you really want to support the festival, and we have tiers for you that you just want to get your business name out there, and it's not going to break the bank. I promise you that. And again, we do need volunteers. If you're interested, please reach out to us. We need lots of volunteers because we really had to pull every favor and every family member and everything. I had my kids out there working last year, which was preposterous.
My mum and
but
dad
it
are
worked.
coming to visit on April 1st. I have a funny feeling they'll be in like
they
high
don't
vis.
know it, but they're going to be working. They're going to be working. But yeah, I mean, we need security people. We need volunteers. We need people at the doors taking tickets. We need just a lot of stuff. And
All
we're
of
going to
that
do
stuff, yeah.
and we're going to do a lot of extra little things. There's a few little extra stuff. Right about that time, I haven't figured it out exactly, but the logistics and everything. But right about that time, somewhere, I think it's the week before, the week after, somewhere right in that ballpark, is our 100th episode.
Yeah.
So we're also going to be filming some stuff at the festival, a little bit of the bands playing, a little bit of like interviews backstage, kind of stuff like that, that we're going to create a 100th episode with. So there's gonna be a lot going on, and we really need the support of the community on this one. So we would really appreciate anybody that's got some time and wants to come out. Reach out to us. Let's make this thing happen. Last year was a huge success. I want to see this year be bigger, better, and amazing. I want all the neighboring counties to know that 561 Music means business.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hector Diaz spitting some truths.
That's right.
Some
That's
home
right.
truths.
That's right, man. 561 Music has a music scene, and we want it to be noticed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
genuinely.
pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a
Enjoyed it.
pleasure. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ricky, for recommending them.
Ricky.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky.
Yeah, man.